Right now, there are three attitudes that exist toward the Muslim woman in society globally. The first one is an exaggeration of the interpretation of the Islamic law and an imposed strictness on the woman. Two, a very loose interpretation of Islamic law that originated in the West and has been imitated by others. And three, a more moderate interpretation of the law. First, let me say this to all of you, though I believe innately most of you are aware of this. Aberrations in the behavior and understanding of Muslims is sometimes not dictated by the teachings of Islam, as given to us in the Quran and the Sunnah, but by culture and subcultures, and in a particular area where Islam is practiced. I have traveled to several Islamic countries with my husband, and in each country I have visited, I have tried to seek out the women and try to understand their condition and how they are treated and viewed in that country. And to be honest, even in the Islamic countries, there are various degrees of strictness. I have never once observed a looseness in any of these women in these countries. In some countries, there were differences even from city to city. That is where the idea of a particular subculture's influence exists in a given area. In some cities, I thought I had stepped into the dark ages. I tend to judge advancement and position through education, because enlightened women tend to enjoy more rights than those who have not been given the opportunity to be educated. In other cities within the same country, the status of women would be quite different. They seem to have a strong presence and appear to be very well versed and educated and aware. But it really bothers me, and I dislike it, when Westerners see these situations where the Muslim women are not very well educated or not educated at all, and they're tied to the house, and they develop the attitude that Islam enslaves women and in some way makes them second-class citizens. We have all heard that before. But what I am finding out is that they are witnessing a cultural custom, not Islam, but because they happen to be in a predominantly Islamic country or an Islamic state, then they assume this must be Islam. After all, the woman is Muslim, her husband's Muslim, her children are Muslim, so this is what Islam teaches. But they are very, very wrong. I was raised a Roman Catholic, and my father taught me a long time ago when I would come home and question him about why sister so-and-so would do this to that child and why father so-and-so did this to the other child, because I really didn't understand their behavior. They were Catholics, and Catholics were at the top of the religious hierarchy, and I had to stop a lot of that because that's the way we were taught as Catholics. We were taught that. They ranked the religions, if you can believe that. My father would say to me, never judge a religion based on the people who practice it. We are all human and make errors, and sometimes serious ones. Always go to the source of the religion if you really want to understand it. So I say to all of you, Muslim and non-Muslim alike, if you want to know what Islam is all about, go to the source. Read the Quran and study the hadiths of the Prophet. That is how you find out about Islam, not from a tour of the Middle East or from the American media. This book is listed, is out there on the table, and I would strongly suggest that all of you purchase it. Because if you need to know where to look to find a list of what your rights are as Islamic women, I would suggest you go to the original sources, not to books written by others, but to read the Quran and the hadiths of the Prophet, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. For Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, is all-wise and he is the all-knowing. He is also the all-merciful. Therefore, he provided a blueprint for all of us to follow 1,400 years ago that would last until the day of judgment. He already knew then what state the Muslim woman would be in today during the 21st century. None of this is news to him. However, we sometimes forget that. Our guidebook was written a long time ago, so let's read it regularly and keep ourselves on the path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended for us.